what you thought you knew from the shed of dreams, the Leake in Review.
It is the Leake in Review. Alan Cross, the journalist, the historian of music, the host, I think you're the ongoing history of new music and the ongoing history of music. How long has that series been running now? Is that like
1993? I just finished recording episode 1036 or something.
That is one thing to say 1993, knowing that you've maybe done it 8 times over that time period is good enough to begin with. But the fact that there's 1,000 episodes, congratulations, man. That's really awesome.
It's very weird because this is not, you've been in radio, you understand this. That program was conceived in the era when we had to do all kinds of extra things as part of FM licenses. And there was a thing called foreground programming. And a radio station had to provide so much foreground, which was long form, thematically linked programming every week. So it made sense to do it in 1993. But all those regulations went out the window sometime in the mid 90s. But for whatever reason, the show survived that cull. And here we are.
Well, and congratulations on surviving that cull, because now the program is more viable than ever. It has paid for itself 1,000 times over in 1,000 episodes. So it's really cool. And now you are one of the most listened to music podcasters worldwide as a result.
Apparently, which again, if you're in radio, you spend all your time in a room by yourself, talking to yourself, and you have no idea what's happening on the other side of the microphone. So it's really kind of cool to look at some stats or to have people come up to you and say, hey, you know what, I listen, it's nice. And you get an email from places like Australia. Where did I get one the other day? Someplace in Africa. I think it might have been Nigeria.
I had an email come to me from, on my other podcast, the country program called Music Row. I had someone send me a note from the Ukraine. And I'm
good. Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
Like, what is going on? How did you find out about this? But yeah, it definitely is cool. And it's real data. It's, where people are at, where the bulk of your community is. And in a sense, it really does hurt what radio had always preached on for years. We've got a bulk of the listenership in southern Manitoba. And it's like, how do you know that? Now it's real.
Yeah, you do know a little bit based on the old school ratings, whether it be diaries or whether it be PPMs, but there is no way for radio in its current incarnation to be able to figure out exactly how many people are listening at any given second. I mean, you can sort of you can estimate, you can extrapolate, but it's nothing like digital data, which is 100% accurate.
Another new podcast you just launched, Uncharted, Crime and Mayhem in the Music Industry. And when we spoke about this I want to say we ran into each other in June or May. It was probably May. And you told me that you were doing this. And I just kind of like, oh my God, that is brilliant that you guys figured out this is a real podcast. Crime is obviously number one in podcasts. People love the misery. And
yeah, I never thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. It is. People love the misery of other people.
It's wild. And now we have, with all the information that we have all kinds of documented cases of misery in the music industry and how things have changed over the years. And you can report on it. I just think it's brilliant. It sounds good. People should go check it out. The podcast is called Uncharted, Crime and Mayhem in the Music Industry. But we're not going to talk about all of that stuff today. Maybe in the future we can get a little bit deeper into it, because I want to talk about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and a little bit of the JUNOs, and then we'll send you on your way. But first,
where there's a heartbeat and a stage, there's an artist set to perform. This is the Leake in Review on tour.
Brought to you by those pierogi eaters over at the Pecan Agency. Lots of shows going on, lots of things picking up right now, and that includes Ruben in the Dark. You can catch them at the end of the month, playing in Montreal with dates following in Toronto. Choir, who I have never seen live. I don't know, Alan, have you seen Choir?
I've seen videos of them, and they're fantastic. I mean, it's not my thing because
Yes.
I don't sing, but to see these people having such a great time.
It's a different type of event, and really, I really do applaud what Choir is doing, and all kinds of dates coming up, including a number throughout the East Coast in early March. And Dear Rouge have rescheduled those dates that they had to cancel due to Drew's mother passing just a couple weeks ago, and they had to cancel a number of dates. They have been rebooked for early April, so that is good news. Alan Cross joins us. The well-documented, well-awarded, all the accolades are correct. Want to talk to you about Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay. I have some thoughts.
I have thoughts. Now, go ahead.
Before we begin, we need to make the distinction between the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum in Cleveland, the bricks and mortar place, and this nebulous, amorphous thing called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which does have a spot within the museum in Cleveland, but it really is something separate and different because it has nothing to do with rock and roll anymore.
You're absolutely right. So what I wanted to have a conversation about is not the building itself, Cleveland, but who is being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And every year it seems like it gets further and further away from maybe what it started as. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on it because I know that you followed it for years. And
yeah, now it's some people will tell you there's two ways of looking at things when you have somebody like Whitney Houston being inducted.
Sure.
You can say things like, well, there's a spirit of rock and rollness that goes through every large artist who ends up being successful. And we should recognize those artists for that spirit. The other thing is the 1,000 or so people who do the voting, this old boys club, who are open to absolutely no transparency. There is no accountability, and they are arm twisted again and again and again into nominating and voting for people that don't have any business being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, again, we go back to this whole thing about, but you got to understand the spirit. It's this is bigger than just rock and roll. It's something grander. The third thing is, we're running out of people to induct. No, you're not. Until you get Iron Maiden in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Joy Division and New Order and Devo and a ton of others. No, you haven't run out of people. You really haven't.
There's a lot of room to add artists. And one thing that I was thinking of, they put out this grand list. I don't know is there 15 artists on the original?
A dozen, I think.
Yeah. Okay, why are we voting on this dozen? If they've already qualified to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame by whatever parameter that is set out by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, why not just put them in? Why are we voting for maybe 6 to go in or maybe 7 to go in?
Well, yeah. But I think the way it works is with most halls of fame, if you look at baseball and hockey and all that, you have to be nominated and then some panel of experts has to give you the seal of approval, which I don't necessarily agree with. There should be a committee, and the committee should be of people who are experienced enough and who are learned enough to make some really good decisions. And 6 would be about right. Now, can I just go through a list of artists that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet?
Can't wait.
Okay.
We mentioned Iron Maiden.
Yeah. Bjork, Devo, Ronnie James Dio, Brian Eno, Jane's Addiction, Motorhead, the Pixies, the Smiths, Sonic Youth, and Television. Those are just the ones that have been snubbed the most. Brian Eno has been snubbed 26 times. Television 24, Bjork 22, Devo 21, Iron Maiden 20. Meanwhile, the following people have been inducted: ABBA, Mary J. Blige, Cher, Janet Jackson, Kool and the Gang, Michael Jackson, Madonna, Donna Summer, and Whitney Houston.
I'm going to add one more thing that I'm thinking about a lot lately, and it's largely because of Beyonce and her new album, which had like 57 different writers on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Should you at least be a writer on these? Because at some point we got to look at Mariah Carey and go, well, this is actually just you performing songs.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit of idolatry, isn't it? I mean,
Kind of karaoke-ish.
it really is. Before we go any further, we should probably go through who's been nominated for 2025 so we can put this all in context.
Sure. I have.
Right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give you some commentary as well. Okay. We'll do this in alphabetical order. Bad Company.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, they were a very important band, sold millions of records in the 1970s. Some great players in that band, and they were one of the few bands signed to Led Zeppelin's Swan Song Records. So yeah, Bad Company, sure, go ahead.
And sold a lot in the early 80s too.
That's true. That's right. Right up until 84, 85.
Yeah. Black Crowes.
Black Crowes. Probably. I mean, they single-handedly brought back a certain type of rock and roll in the 1990s, and that Rolling Stones, Black Aerosmith kind of swaggery blues rock stuff. So sure, all right, Black Crowes. I'll go with that.
Nowhere near the same amount of albums sold as Bad Company.
No. Mariah Carey. Well, we've discussed that. No.
Yes.
Number 4 on the list is Chubby Checker. Now, I'm shocked that he wasn't inducted decades ago.
I was just going to say the exact same thing. When I saw that on the listing, I'm like, how has this been passed by?
I don't know. I mean, he was one of the progenitors. He was one of the pioneers with Little Richard, with Jerry Lee Lewis, with Elvis, with, Carl Perkins, with, all those original guys, Chuck Berry. How is he still not there?
Always mentioned when you're talking about rock and roll early days, always brought up. Bad Company, never brought up.
No.
So Bad Company would reference Chubby Checker, and Green Day probably would.
I think so, yes. Next on the list is Joe Cocker. I'm not a big fan of this because Joe Cocker's biggest hits came from him reinterpreting other people's hits.
Good point. Very good point. There's a lot of bands out there that's another thing that I don't think people understand is like, well, your biggest song was a cover? Yeah. Someone else's track? That doesn't sit.
And You Are So Beautiful does not rank as a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame song. I'm sorry. Billy Idol is next.
One big album, in my opinion.
1.5.
Sure.
We'll give it 1.5. But the fact that he has survived, heroin addiction, motorcycle accidents, and whatever other sort of abuse that he has subjected himself to is interesting. I mean, I love Billy. I mean, I really do. But
awesome.
You're right.
Fantastic artist to see live too, still today.
Yes. Couple of records in the early 80s, 83, 84. And that was about it. I mean, we can go back and talk about, Generation X and his part in the early punk scene. Okay, but Gen X was not exactly, this of the stature of the Sex Pistols and the Clash.
Right. Is he maybe on this list because of MTV alone? If it wasn't for MTV, would there be this conversation?
Probably not, because MTV and Billy Idol emerged at exactly the same time, early 80s. With songs like Rebel Yell and
Eyes Without a Face,
White Wedding, all that stuff. Perfect early 80s MTV stuff. So that's probably why he's on this list. Again, Billy, love you to death, dude. But I don't know.
And he looks good in the TV commercials they're saying, "Rock, are you a rock star?" I'm a rock star. Yeah, I'm Billy Idol.
Next up, we have Joy Division and New Order. If you don't know why those two are put together, you go stand in the rock and roll corner. Joy Division has been snubbed 21 times, 18 times for New Order. The fact that those two acts, especially Joy Division, who have influenced, people on the level of Kraftwerk, who took forever to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame themselves, the fact that they're not there is just a travesty. But again, it's America. We invented rock and roll. We get to decide what it is.
Right.
Again, New Order, biggest selling 12-inch single in the history of the world with Blue Monday. A very long career that had tons and tons of alt rock dance hits.
Still remixed today.
Still remixed today. Still touring today. Next, we have Cyndi Lauper, which is another one of those but she represents the spirit of rock and roll, nominees. No, she doesn't. She was a pop star. She was, when she first came out for about 3 weeks in 1983 and early 1984, she was considered to be a new wave artist simply because we were in the new wave hangover period, and also because she had weird hair and makeup and dressed weird. So that, if she's doing that, then she's got to be new wave. Well, no, she was a pop star, and she became a very good pop star. But this, as last time I checked, isn't the pop music Hall of Fame. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, Cindy, love you, dear. And if there was a pop music Hall of Fame, I'd be voting for you. Not this time.
And for what she's done, I will say, for what she's done for people's rights throughout all of this.
Yes.
I think that is very it's amazing what she has become and what she has done. But she is very similar to Billy Idol to me. Again, I'm 83, 84.
Yeah, those first 2 albums, really. And then she became an MTV star, and then she got into professional wrestling, and then she took up all sorts of activist causes. Then she started telling everybody how bad her psoriasis was, and fine. You're a good kid, Cindy. I loved you, but again, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, no.
And maybe he should be faulted a little bit for a lot of teenage girls shaving one side of their head in the early 80s. That should be pointed out too. You should probably lose some points.
All right. Okay. I'm with you on that. The next band I don't know, and it's called Mana. It's a Mexican pop rock band from the 80s. I see them on the list. I have not bothered to research them. I probably should, since we're doing a podcast about them, and I have nothing to say.
It's funny because I'm in the exact same spot, and I was hoping you would have. And the fact that you don't and I don't, it's why are we talking about this to begin with?
Well, I think this is an arm twisting situation. We have to represent diversity, despite what they're saying in Washington these days. So they, this is a token diversity pick. Maybe I don't know. I can't say because I don't know anything about the band, but I was very surprised to see them on this list.
You would think that there would be someone else who could check that box that is a global superstar that has not already been nominated.
Yeah.
So moving on, Oasis.
Yeah, a 5-timer when it comes to snubs. A lot of people in America have completely downplayed the effect that Oasis had. I mean, that second album sold 20 million copies. That first album's close to 10. Again, okay, we have to be honest and say that those first 2 albums, kind of like Billy Idol, kind of like Cyndi Lauper, were their things. But at the same time, Oasis, if you want to talk about the spirit of rock and roll throughout their entire career, I mean, these guys, they're drunken, drug-taking, brawl getting into louts that have no respect for authority, no respect for convention, and just do things the way they do things the way they want to do it. That's rock and roll. So fine.
Might be a more pop-minded Guns N' Roses, the European version with more of a pop edge, because like Guns N' Roses, only a few albums released, and then just kind of went their separate ways. But when you look at when the impact of Guns N' Roses got back on tour, stadiums, look at what Oasis is doing this year. Sold out stadiums instantly the moment the tickets went on sale. And we're not talking like, an arena that is 18,000. We're talking 60, 100,000 and multiple nights in these venues.
And we're talking over 40 of these gigs around the world. So
it's absolutely incredible.
That says something. I mean, how many people could do that?
It's not the same people going on every show.
No.
And tickets aren't cheap these days.
Next, we have Outkast.
I wouldn't put them in for the simple fact that I think there's just so many people ahead of them that haven't.
I agree.
I love the impact of Outkast. When you look at the fact that Outkast, not many artists like Outkast broke over to alternative radio.
True. Bombs
Over Baghdad. Hey, yeah, got into pop radio. Right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable artists out of Atlanta. And I think it's just a little bit too early to really give them a full assessment of their overall impact when it comes to getting put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
A pretty good assessment there. I think we need another, 3, 6, 10 years to see exactly what kind of legacy Outkast has left behind. Now, they haven't done anything for a long time, but I don't know, maybe this is an international versus American thing, and the Americans feel that Outkast is much more impactful than we do. But again, from my perspective, it sounds like from yours too. No, not yet.
We got time.
Next, we have Fish, and I probably should recuse myself from this because I hate every jam band ever formed.
Which is fair for anyone to say. You're allowed to stay in a lane.
The only jam band that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is already there, and that's the Grateful Dead. Simply because they had such a wide-ranging impact, not only with their music, but with their attitude towards ticket sales, their attitudes towards fan communities, their home taping and fan taping and tape trading and all that sort of stuff. Grateful Dead should be there. Fish? No. Again, jam band.
Looking at this list, though, not many artists like Fish that did not receive overall airplay.
No, that's true. They are
never played on the radio.
Have I ever heard Fish on the radio?
I guarantee you have. Flipping through Sirius XM, you would have heard Fish
probably
come up at some point. But it's not like there's 4 or 5 songs. There's a couple, and you got to be on the right channel at the right time because they're not playing Fish 5 times a day. Yeah, you've come across it, but very, very rare. In terms of terrestrial radio, I would say 000 unless it's a college.
Agreed. Next is Soundgarden. That should be the biggest slam dunk on this list.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
Well, if you've got Nirvana in there, if you've got Pearl Jam in there, you have to have the other third of the holy trinity of grunge, and that's Soundgarden. It just doesn't make sense if you're going to recognize the importance of grunge to music, not just in the 90s, but its continuing influence today. You got to have all 3 members of the holy trinity in there, and that means Soundgarden.
I know that you've had conversations with Jack White over the years. I have not seen White Stripes, and White Stripes are coming up next. You don't see a lot of Jack White referencing grunge. Yet,
No.
If it wasn't for grunge, I don't know if anyone would know Jack White.
Well, this is true because Jack sort of took a while to find his footing in the mid and late 90s before he met Meg and they formed the White Stripes. But what happened with grunge was it set the stage for an appetite and an interest in left of center music. And the White Stripes come along in the very late 90s, early 2000s, just as grunge had faded away. New metal was happening, but at the same time, what this attitude that was pervasive throughout the 1990s was that it made it possible for all these indie bands in the very late 90s and early 2000s to become popular. And White Stripes are there, Strokes are there, Yeah Yeah Yeahs are there, Interpol is there, The Rapture is there. There's a ton of bands, a lot of them coming out of New York and Brooklyn, that would not have had the opportunity to be as big as they were had it not been for grunge.
So you're saying right now, if there's only one vote available and it's got to go to either Soundgarden or White Stripes, you say it's Soundgarden this time around and we can worry about the White Stripes in a couple of votes.
Next year. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Alan Cross is joining us on the program and giving some fantastic insight as to who the nominees are for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. We won't find out until later this summer just who it is, and then the actual ceremony, the inductions will happen in the fall. Before I let you go, did you notice that there are 2 new categories for the JUNOs this year, one of which is Southeast Asian category, Southeast Asian recording, and second is Songwriter of the Year, non-performer, which is my favorite category. We kind of touched on this a little bit before, where Mariah Carey is in for Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, could be inducted, hasn't written a song. There's a lot of people who have written gigantic songs, and I don't think they get enough credit.
This is true, and there are more and more of them every week. I can tell you that when it comes to royalty payouts in Canada through SOCAN, a good chunk of the top 10 people who are getting royalties from SOCAN have never played a gig, have never played live. They are songwriters, they are producers, they are DJs, they are people in the background. And I think that speaks volumes as to where we are in terms of music these days. I mean, Drake needs 15 people to write a song. Even Coldplay needs half a dozen people to write a song, maybe more. This is something that changed when the Beatles came along in 1964. Here was a band that wrote their own material. And then from that point on, if you wanted to be authentic, if you wanted to be real, if you wanted to be taken seriously, you had to write your own songs. And over the last 25 years, we've been getting away from that. And it's to the point now where you have, armies of people writing songs. I'm doing the beats. I'm doing the top line. I'm tweaking the lyrics. I'm all that sort of stuff.
The artist who's performing the song in the end may never even know who this army was. That song is just served up to them on a platter saying, would you like to sing this one or this one or this one? Because they're all available.
Now consider this too. If all these people have songwriting credits, which that means that they're entitled to a fraction of a cent that they get in a stream.
If they've sold it that way.
Because
they may have just given the rights directly. Let's say I write a song and you buy it off me for 50 grand and you put your name on it. But it's great when you get a fraction of a stream, because you could be up to like 8-9 cents by 2026.
I don't understand. And people have tried to explain it to me, and I've watched a bunch of videos about it, about why you need 15 people on a song. The old days, the saying was, change a word, get a third, which meant that if you change one word in the lyrics, you were entitled to a third of the songwriting royalties. Now, if you've got 15, 17 people working on one song, good luck with that.
I'm just happy that the Junos have made that decision, because it should be recognized. Interesting though, there's a couple artists in there that are in for the same song. So I'm again, they're part 1 of 15. They're part 1 and 2 of 15, but they are in for the same song. And there's a couple other songs that they are also listed with. But it's like, well, if you are actually winning because you helped write the Beyonce Texas Hold'em, and the other person also is in for Texas Hold'em, do you both win? That's for the Junos to figure out. You have tour dates coming up. Lots of tour dates.
I am going to do a big coast-to-coast spring speaking tour, which begins on the 14th in Oshawa, and then I go to Ottawa for 3. But then it starts in earnest after that in Victoria, makes its way across BC, Alberta, and into Saskatchewan, then to Manitoba, and then got to go up to Fredericton and Halifax.
A lot of these dates are sold out too, and if they are not sold out, they're almost sold out. So people got to act on this, and we can get tickets for any of these engagements off of is it allencross.ca?
You go to a journalofmusicalthings.com.
That's the way to do it. What happens on the speaking tour?
I'm hugely lazy. What it is I show up and I say, hey, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, I like that.
That's what we do for 2 hours. What's interesting about this is because you end up talking about things that the audience cares about. Once people get warmed up, they start talking to each other. They talk to me. I talk to them. It's a really interesting thing. And because no 2 audiences are the same, no 2 of these salons, as I call them, are the same. So you could we're going to do 2 in a day in the Ottawa area, and the afternoon one will be completely different from the evening one.
Well, I think it's awesome that you're doing it, and I look forward to not only hearing about these shows. Hopefully I'll get the opportunity to come check you out at one in the very near future. Will you be actually recording these shows? Will you put them on the podcast?
Never thought about it. Let me talk to my guy.
Yeah, you got some guys. You got a team over there. I get it.
Yeah, you know what? We should put up one on YouTube.
I think that's an excellent idea. And because I said a word, I get a third.
That's right. Change a word, get a third.
Alan Cross, always the best. Thank you very much for joining in on the program. Love to have you back real soon. Maybe we'll reconnect once you get back off the road.
Okay, let's do that.
Happy shoveling in Toronto.
Oh, God.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shadow